Just imagine you're celebrating Christmas, but there are no gifts, no visitors, and no hope left in your heart. Would you still believe, though, that God is watching you? Now picture this. A deep frozen forest, no lights, no laughter, just silence. In the middle of that silence, a tiny wooden cabin breathes in the cold night. Inside, a family huddles close to the fire, not to celebrate, but to survive. A weak flame, a few melting candles, and one painful question whispered in the dark. Has God forgotten us? But at exactly midnight, something happens, something no one expected. So don't go anywhere. Because this is not just a Christmas story. This was a story about hope, even when there's nothing left to hope for. This family lived deep in the northern forests of America, far away from the noise of the city. The nearest neighbor? Miles away. The father, a quiet, hard-working man. He had left behind the city life to give his children peace and safety. The mother, patience in her eyes, prayers in her heart, and two children, a 12-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. This was their first Christmas celebrated completely alone. No phone calls, no cards. The radio was off, no mobile network, just silence, and the sound of snow falling outside. The mother smiled gently and said to the children, "Christmas is not about gifts. It is a day of gratitude." But the children were silent. They missed their school friends. They missed the bright city lights. The father added wood to the fire and said softly, "We are not alone. God is with us." But deep in a corner of his heart, he was afraid too. The father took a deep breath. He tried to stay strong, but inside, he was breaking. He remembered how people in the city must be surrounded by lights, laughter, music, gifts. And him? He was sitting in a forest, with fear for his children's future. He prayed silently. "Oh God, I left everything, that only for my children. Do not leave them alone." The clock announced 11. The wind grew stronger. At times, it felt like someone was knocking at the door, but it was only... The mother wrapped blankets around the children. The daughter slowly fell asleep, but the son stayed awake. He softly said, "Dad, do miracles really happen?" The father placed his hand gently on his son's head and whispered, "When humans give up, that is when God begins his work." And then, only a few minutes were left before midnight. The whole cabin fell into a strange silence, as if time itself had stopped. Midnight, the moment of the miracle. As soon as the clock announced midnight, suddenly, there was a sound at the door. Knock, knock. Everyone froze. The father stood up immediately. His heart started beating fast. The mother said nervously, "At this time, in this forest?" The son sat up straight. Fear was in his eyes, too, but so was curiosity. Knock, knock. The sound came again. The father slowly walked toward the door. His hand was shaking. He opened the door. An old man was standing there, covered in snow, a tired face, eyes filled with tears. Behind him, an old car stuck in the snow. The old man said in a weak voice, "I'm sorry, I lost my way. Can I warm myself here for a few minutes?" The mother didn't think for even a second. She immediately said, "Please, come inside." The old man came in, sat near the fire. His hands were trembling. The mother placed hot soup in front of him. The father gave him a blanket. Silent tears ran down the old man's face. He said softly, "I thought, on this Christmas night, I would die alone." The room fell silent. The daughter murmured in her sleep, "Mom, is this Santa?" Tears filled the mother's eyes. She hugged her daughter tightly. The old man smiled and said, "My child, I am not Santa, but maybe God sent me to remind you that miracles are still alive. At that moment, the wind outside stopped. The forest became silent, as if nature itself bowed to this moment. The old man sat quietly for a while, staring into the fire, as if memories from the past were dancing in the flames, and then he slowly began to speak. The old man looked into the flames and said softly, "I had children too. I had a home as well." The mother looked at him in shock. The father quietly lowered his head. The old man continued, "I spent my whole life only working. Christmas, I always postponed it to next year." His voice trembled with emotion. Then one day, my wife passed away. My children settled in different cities, and I was left alone. The son listened silently. Tears filled his young eyes. The old man whispered, "Today I only wanted to go to my son. I thought maybe he would open the door." He paused, his voice shaking. But on the way, my car stopped. The phone was dead. The snow kept falling. He looked down. I thought this was my last night. Hearing this, the mother's eyes filled with tears. She placed her hand over her heart. The father stepped forward, held the old man's hand, and said with strength in his voice, "Today you are not alone. Tonight, this home is your home." The old man broke down crying. The daughter woke up. She rubbed her eyes, looked at him, and said sweetly, "You are not alone. We are all here." The old man hugged her tightly. That moment wasn't just about tears. That moment was about hearts connecting. The mother quietly placed bread on the table, a few apples, some warm coffee. She said gently, "This is all we have." The old man smiled with wet eyes. "Tonight, I have found the whole world." The fire burned a little brighter. The room became a little warmer. And in the middle of a cold, forgotten forest, a home was reborn. A home filled with love. And now pause, that'll for just a moment, and think deeply. This story, Amo, is not only about a family or an old man. This story is about all of us. At some point in life, we all become like that old man, lost, tired, alone. And sometimes we become like that family, with very little, but with a very big heart. Now ask yourself, what if that night the family had not opened the door? What if they had said, "We are already struggling. This is not the right time. We just want to be alone"? What would have happened? Maybe a life would have ended quietly. But instead, they opened the door. And sometimes in life, opening one door becomes the miracle. We talk so much about gifts on Christmas, on Eid, on celebrations. But the real gift is time, attention, human presence. In today's world, we are all connected, some but not truly connected. Our phones are full, but our hearts feel empty. We think, "I'll call tomorrow. I'll meet next week. I'll make time next year." But life does not promise next year. That old man thought the same way. And on this cold, silent night, he was close to death. This story reminds us to change someone's life. We don't always need to do something big. Sometimes we just need to open the door. We just need to listen, to sit together. Because maybe inside your one small action, someone's whole world is hidden. The lesson of this story, Manapapen, is very simple, yet very deep. In life, we all live in some kind of forest. A forest of loneliness, a forest of sorrow, a forest of fear. We often think, "I don't have time, I don't have resources, or I don't have the strength." But remember, that family had very little. No money, no comfort, no security, only a small burning fire, a few candles, and a living heart. And that was enough to save a life. Because the real lesson is God won't ask how much you gave. He will ask, did you open your heart, even when you had little? We wait for the perfect moment to help. But the truth is, help never comes at a perfect time. It comes when you open the door, in difficult moments. This story teaches us, faith is not just prayer, faith is action. When you stand for someone, even in your own weakness, that's when miracles happen. You don't need to be rich to be human. You just need to be kind. If you can become a light in someone's life, remember, that moment might be the greatest Christmas of your life. Never think you're alone, because when you don't leave someone alone, God will never leave you alone. If this story touched your heart, then today, knock on the bell icon of Silent Proof and Cinemarker and subscribe. Call someone you miss. Watch every video of Silent Proof. Listen to Silent Proof stories. Sit with someone quietly, because miracles often knock softly at midnight. Thank you for watching. This is Silent Proof, where every silence has a voice.